I think the one thing that console exclusivity did that doesn't really happen nowadays is the differences between consoles were different enough because of the chosen architectures and everything else. They were different enough that a developer who chose to develop on a specific console had to become a specialist in that hardware. That's number one. They had to learn the intricacies of that hardware. But then they also worked around the limitations of that hardware. And I think when you impose limitations on yourself, you become more creative and find more interesting ways to solve problems. I think that's kind of like one of the nice side effects of what console development specific to each console did. So when we had more variety in our consoles, our available consoles, and to a certain degree our handhelds, I think we got better games as a result because those games were custom built or at least purpose built to that hardware, right? Nowadays, everything's built to computers. Listen, I games are my hobby, Vector. I think about games a lot. I just think about. I promise you, I'm not reading anything. This is just what I think about. But nowadays, consoles are just computers, right? Like they're basically they all run on similar architectures, and the reality is, I don't think there's any real reason for exclusivity other than marketing stuff, right? Why we feel less of a sense of wonder for modern games? Yeah, because what's special about it, what's special about it is kind of being lost. That's why people, and I hate to say it, because we're here already. The Switch 2 is here, man. The Switch 2 is here. It's out. Nintendo fans are in full force. Okay. Listen, I went to college, Vector. Okay. I got a master's degree in architecture. I had to use my words for them to give me a piece of paper. Anyway, none of that matters. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, I think about games a lot, okay? Please. You think about games just as much as I do, Vector, so yeah, I don't think you've got room to talk here, okay? The amount of games that support the crazy fancy triggers, yeah, exactly. Or in this case, the Switch 2 is coming out. It's a portable console that you can dock, and it's got mice or something. It's got like motion mice. That's cool, right? I just want to get out of this nightmare as soon as I can. Ah! Can I pick up whatever that was attached to? But yeah, man, you're right. It's there's a lot of overlap. It's money. It's money driven. Not to say that it wasn't always money driven, but I feel like yes, if your plan as a big company to stay solvent is to sell your product on as many consoles as you can, you're either going to do that to increase your sales, or a company is going to pay you to only release it on their console, which is what Sony has been doing. Because that nowadays, that's the determining factor. It's the fact that they're being paid exclusivity rights, and it's not about the capabilities of the console anymore. It's about, okay, I'm going to pay you a lot of money, and you get to keep this game on here for a year, and then maybe you can sell it on something else later, right? There's no other, apart from that, there's no real reason why, especially with these game engines that are designed to run on as many things as possible, you know? It's more economic. That's just kind of how it works. Duel says they're catching some flack because the big N is saying people are only paying for the license to play their system, not for the... Yeah, I think what Nintendo's doing nowadays is like real anti-consumer, and I honestly, I don't think I'm going to buy a Switch 2, if I'm going to be honest with everybody in here. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to buy a Switch 2. I don't like what they're doing. I think it's scummy, and they've been pulling a lot of stuff. They're doing a lot. And I don't... Disease, oh my god, I haven't seen you in forever, bro. How you been, man? What's up, Disease? Welcome in. Yeah, I don't... So Nintendo, they're doing a lot. They first and foremost, they've increased the pricing of their games. We already know about the Switch tax. We already know about the fact that they rarely, if ever, have sales, right? They occasionally have deals where you can like spend $100 or something to get a 2-for-1 pack or whatever. It's not about just digital games. What they've introduced now is a cart. Now, listen to what I'm about to tell you. Games are big now, right? Games are big. And it's kind of expected when you have a high-profile title, AAA, that the disc that you buy the game on may not necessarily have the full game on it, right? If you're a physical collector, you're buying a game, and you got 50 gigs to work with, and Doom Eternal comes out, and it's like $100 or something, right? Or, I'm sorry, 100 gigs. You're going to have to download an update, right? Okay, fine. That happens sometimes. Games are big. What are you going to do? Nintendo, in their infinite wisdom, said, I want to do that, but with carts. And you may have heard this. They have now game carts that are cheap, like super cheap. They have like some modicum of security on them, but it is a cart with a key on it. It doesn't have any game data on it, because last gen, I don't know if you remember, the Switch carts, Nintendo charged the publishers a different price depending on the size of the cart. You know, 8 gig carts did something, 16 carts, whatever, yada yada. Now a quote unquote physical cart is a cart with a key, no data, and that key allows you to download the game from their servers. Which means if you have one of those game cards, you don't own the game. You literally don't own the game. You own a key to the game, which in over time is going to present problems. Right? So that's what they're doing. Now, some developers, they still have, Switch still offers developers the ability to have carts with the data on them, right? And you might argue, okay, third-party game devs that are just doing porting from one thing over to another, they're probably going to choose to use the game cards because they're just going to make people download the stuff anyway. And Nintendo first-party games, as far as we know, the games are completely on the cart. But when you're talking about longevity of the console and yada yada, it's like, yeah, that's not good. That's not a good thing. You buy a cart, if you're buying a cart, you're probably expecting to have a physical representation of the game that you can play at any point that doesn't require the internet. And they're moving into that. And now, not only that, digital games, ostensibly, part of the benefit of a digital game is that you don't have to go through the rigmarole of printing artwork for your case and pressing a disc and yada yada yada. But Nintendo never used that as an excuse to lower the pricing, which is, again, the previous point, they don't rarely do sales because they're trying to create an inflated sense of the worth of their catalog. They want you to know that their games are worth this amount of money. Okay, that's great. I'm glad that they feel that way. It's a consumer choice at the end of the day. But this gen, they're pricing games at $70 and $80. They went 70, they skipped over, and now they're at $80. Which is kind of insane for a standard edition of a video game. But they're leading the way, and now all the other companies are like, well, if they can get away with it, then perhaps we can too. Yeah, they wanted to cut out the middleman, right? But it's anti-consumer. That's what's scummy about it. That's what I don't like. So I'm not going to support that system anymore. I just don't want to. I feel like the anti-consumer part about it is awful. I mean, that's great. You know, from the point of a game dev, okay, great. You know, I get it. You want to make your bucks, right? But I'm a gamer with a backlog like 3 miles long. I don't have to buy any of their games at launch, let alone at any point, right? And then see, people bring up the adjusted pricing and all this other crap. They had sales back then. You didn't have to buy those games at full price. You could buy them at sale, and they had sales back then. Nintendo has completely shifted that line of thinking. There's no more sales. If they do sales, they're very small, and sometimes they do them based on like they had like the 2-for-1 pack. And also the 2-for-1 pack, I heard about this the other day. I was flabbergasted. They used to have okay, so for those who don't know, Nintendo offered like a game. You could pay like a flat fee, $100 or something like that, and that would allow you to download 2 different titles. It was kind of like their way of doing a sale, and you could also apply that voucher, I guess is what they called it. You could apply the voucher for future games that were coming. So let's say I spent $100. I could get Super Mario Galaxy now, right? And then in 6 months when Zelda comes out, I can use my voucher to get Zelda, and I've only spent $100, so it's like a pre-order. I save a little bit of money. You know, it's not the worst idea. It's okay. You're giving them money up front, and then you can choose whatever you want to get later. Some people don't get the more expensive games. They get cheaper games, but it doesn't matter, right? About a week before the Switch 2's release, all of those vouchers became null and void, and you can't use them on the Switch 2. Scummiest thing ever I ever heard. Then early reports are saying that going back to the whole, you don't actually own the game, right? It's a digital protection. You're trying to protect against copyright stuff. If you buy, nah, this is what I heard, and I can't confirm this. If you buy a Switch 2, the knowledge that's been going out right now online is, if you buy a Switch 2, just make a new Switch account for that Switch 2. Don't take your Switch 1 account. Now, why would you ask that? Why would I not bring my game collection over to my Switch 2? I bought these games. I should be able to play them on the Switch 2. They're digital games, right? I can just download them. From what I've read, if you transfer your Switch 1 account to your Switch 2, your games will transfer over, right? And you will have the ability to download them onto your new console. However, those games now get, depending on the game title, they get switched to a Switch 2 version, which means now that that game is no longer eligible to be played on your original hardware. It is now a Switch 2 version of a game that gets saved to your account that you've linked to your Switch 2. Now it only works on your Switch 2. You can no longer play it on your Switch 1. That, I don't know if I like that. It seems anti-consumer to me. The thing that I paid for on the original console doesn't work there anymore? Well, why would that be? But that's Nintendo's thought, right? You've upgraded it, so now it is permanently upgraded, and that's it. You're done. You're cooked. You can only play it on your Switch 2. And again, I can't vouch for that because I don't have a console, but that's what they're doing, right? Now, I hope that's not what they decide to do when the actual updates release, because that's the other thing. People who got their consoles early can't use them without activation from a download. When you get those consoles early, those people getting their consoles early from pre-orders and stuff like that, yeah, some people are going to get them early because the stores get them early. They might break street date. Those consoles are not capable of playing any digital stuff until Nintendo pushes their first update to that console. I think you were allowed to play with the kart games, which at this point is like what, Mario Kart at this point, but you can't go online with it, and you can't download any other updates related to digital games until at which point Nintendo says you can play your game. It's less about what you own and more that you're borrowing it from Nintendo. Hey Nintendo, let me play my Switch 2. But yeah, man, there's just a lot of little things here and there that add up to make horrible experiences, and I don't want to support that anymore. I don't want to support it. I can't see myself buying a Nintendo Switch 2. What are you doing, Fiona? Get out of there, bro. This guy's a problem. Thank you, Doggo. That face right there, that's the face. I've seen that face 100 times in a meme. That facial expression.